Ah, hello there. What are the chances of seeing you here? Hello, welcome to Story Jack. Today we are doing Writer's Digest, and that's where at the end of every month I go through what I've watched, read or played to share the bits of narrative nuggets that I've gleaned from all my media consumption. Being as I left my notes in the goddamn car, which is all the way over there, I'm going to be going from memory. Let's start with Wanda. So Wanda was the first feature film to be written, directed and starring a woman. Compare that to, say, Citizen Kane or Charlie Chaplin's. That gives you about like a kind of a 50-year head start. And Barbara Logan plays the aforementioned Wanda, and it's a very, very solid first film. It's a very lean story about a, how would you say, lost housewife, loses everything, and basically gets tied up with a robber. It's kind of like Bonnie and Clyde in a sense, like two strangers meet and they go on a crime spree, or even like Badlands by Terrence Malick. This movie is more of a character piece about when passivity becomes action. Wanda, for example, for the most part of the film, you might be thinking, she doesn't really do much. In fact, the first poster for the movie when it came out depicts her standing outside the car window of Mr. Dennis, who is like the robber she ends up going with. Little fact about the guy who plays Mr. Dennis. When I was watching it, I was like, how do I know this guy? And it's because he is one of the actors who does this like playwriting thing with David Mamet. It's a really cool video where David Mamet kind of walks through how to direct actors.
The basic idea is that one only has so much concentration. If your concentration's on yourself, it can't be on your object. It can't be on what you're trying to achieve on the stage. If your concentration is on something else, it can't be on yourself because you only have that much. As Freud said, a man with a toothache can't be in love.
But the poster depicts her in the background, and you see Mr. Dennis in the shades and cigar, so it's quite easy in that profile shot to think, oh, the film's actually about him. But really, her outside the window is about her whether or not to get in that car. So the interesting thing about how to make this passive character actually be active is ultimately indecision is a decision in and of itself, right? Inaction is an action. So early in the film, she does turn up for court, a custody hearing. She turns up late, but she doesn't fight the judge. In fact, she kind of tells the judge, yeah, I want my ex-husband to have the kids. Then there are things like when she realizes Mr. Dennis is a wanted robber, she doesn't do anything about it. She doesn't call the cops, she doesn't run away. This character's ultimately letting things happen to her. As the movie progresses, she eventually gets to the stage where she's much more active in the robbery. There's a point when Mr. Dennis and this bank manager are wrestling for a gun, and it's Wanda who picks up the gun so that she and Mr. Dennis can have the upper hand. There's a lovely shot, I think it's one of my favourite shots in the film actually, where Mr. Dennis and Wanda are looking for a car to rob, and they're going down the street looking for the cars, trying all the door handles, and this shot, the camera is actually inside the car they're actually going to steal, and the camera tracks them left to right as they go from street to street until they finally arrive at the door of where the camera is. I think that's quite a playful little shot, but yeah, really check it out, especially if you're into kind of like a road trip, slice of life, crime caper-ish, passive character, but not really, so check it out for that. Okay, The Holdovers by Alexander Payne. Me and Alexander Payne, we go back a while. I love About Schmidt. I think it's Jack Nicholson's best performance. I love Sideways, that's great. Election, incredible. Nebraska is awesome. The Descendants, didn't do it for me. And, what's it called? Downsizing. I don't know what he was thinking of downsizing. Man, they should have downsized that movie so much. It was deleted. That was a misstep. But I'm glad to say The Holdovers is a return to form for Alexander Payne. And the story covers Paul Giamatti, who plays a classics teacher, teaching about ancient Greece and Rome, etc., in a boarding school. And basically over the winter break, when it's Christmas and all the kids go home, there will be a few who, for whatever reason, can't go home.
Sir, I don't understand.
That's glaringly apparent.
I can't fail this class.
Oh, don't sell yourself short, Mr. Coates. I truly believe that you can.
Paul Giamatti is kind of roped into being the teacher that year for the Christmas and New Year's period. And in the end, all the students are able to leave except one. So basically, Paul Giamatti is a teacher who wants to be left alone. The kid, Tully, wants to be back with his parents. They're a regular odd couple. People have been comparing it to Rushmore, but it's only because it's got a kind of boarding school vibe to it. If you want to see how to do a Christmas movie done right, check out The Holdovers, because a Christmas movie is not a movie set at Christmas time. I don't care what you think about Die Hard, that is not a Christmas movie. A Christmas movie is something to do with characters learning to appreciate life, reconciling deep interpersonal conflicts with people close to them, that type of thing. And The Holdover is that. They spend 2 weeks together, and by the end, they're the best of chums. One problem, though, it kind of feels like it's got one foot in the boat. It can't quite decide if it's supposed to be a film about these two people alone together or if it's supposed to be a group thing. When it comes to ending the threads of the other characters, it doesn't have that emotional punch. If you're going to do an ensemble piece, you kind of have to do something like Todd Solondz in Happiness, where the trajectory of each character arc is very simple, so that when you juxtapose them with the other threads, you can infer the gravitas of what's happening to them by how they're arranged with the other threads. In the Holdovers, it kind of more or less is just these two guys until suddenly it remembers there is a caretaker who's one of the first characters you see on film. He's actually sorely underused. I'm sorry, I forgot the actress's and the character's name, which maybe suggests that they're not the strongest part in the movie. Her son was at the boarding school, graduated and died in Vietnam. And if Tully gets kicked out of school, he'll go to military school. So there is a kind of life and death thing here. So there is a reason for her to be here, but I think it's a little bit shortchanged, and it's a shame because there are some truly wonderful scenes with her. She gives a box of her son's baby clothes to her pregnant sister, and it's such a tender moment, but it's just kind of cut short because it immediately goes back to teacher and the student. I still really loved it. I think it's a great Christmas movie, but I would say if you're trying to write something that's like an ensemble or two lead thing, maybe check this out to see how you think they did it right or wrong. I saw Saltburn. One of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, no joke. Usually on this channel, I would do something called a story autopsy, where I really kind of break apart where a script went wrong and how to fix the story. You can check out the other ones I've done before. I think I'll have to save Saltburn for one of that because Zoomers seem to think it's some modern day telling of The Talented Mr. Ripley. And it's not, for one fundamental reason. In The Talented Mr. Ripley steals another person's identity.
I always thought it would be better to be a fake somebody than a real nobody.
In Saltburn, he just drinks cummy bathwater. Not the same thing. The Killer by David Finch. I saw a lot of people giving a bit of flack on this. Some people saying it was like a pretentious meta film about revenge stories. Other people saying it's a dark comedy about the world's shittest hitman. And I kind of say it's a little bit of both. It's a revenge plot, so you've seen it before. An assassin's latest mission goes wrong. In order to cover up the hit, they try to wipe him out, so he goes on a revenge mission to take out everyone who's trying to take him out. It's a very simple story. Character goes from A to B. There's no flashback, there's no dumb stuff. What I did learn from it is a nice little thing about voiceover, which I hadn't thought of before. So the film starts with, hey, the hitman explaining his code, right? Because that's basically how every hitman movie starts. Each step of the code becomes something they break to kind of keep you on track as you're writing the script. So the first, first act, it's all in his head, right? He's just sitting in this apartment, waiting finally for his opportunity to take out this target. When it goes wrong, you don't hear the voiceover, for the next 30 minutes. Because he's on the run, oh shit, the cops, they're after me, fuck, right? If you are introduced to a character with a voiceover, and the whole point is about him being introspective, by suddenly cutting off that voiceover whilst you're going through a kind of adrenaline rush, does help it to feel more paranoid, does help the piece to feel much more suspenseful. We've gone from a character who enjoys the act of thinking for the sake of it, to now not even having a moment to have a conscious thought. So that covers it for January. And if you have any recommendations that you would like to pass on to me for films to watch, books to read, video games to play, let me know in the comments. And hopefully I'll be able to get to them for next month's Writer's Digest. All right, that'll do. Let's go.